back to What You'll Learn. My name is Adam Ashton.
G'day. My name is Adam Jones. Today we are reviewing Getting Things Done, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity by the absolute weapon himself, David Allen.
Now, this is, if you're looking to increase your efficiency and productivity, this is Bible status.
Yes.
This is like, it's thick, it's big, it's dense, there's a lot of stuff in here. But if you were to take 2 or 3 days to apply everything in this book and set up a system, that will seriously revolutionise.
If you mastered this system, your life will, 10x in terms of output and in terms of presence. And this is it's an incredible book. So it's essentially getting what's out of your head into an external system that you trust. So you can just, focus on what you're doing right now and just be present with everything you do. Yeah,
and that's it. It's all about that we're always doing things, but we're also always thinking about what we're not doing at that point in time. So if your system is your brain and you're doing something, you're always going to be thinking about, I need to do this. I need to do that. And that means you're not giving yourself fully to the task at hand.
Yeah, that's right. So I guess right now in the world, there's so much information and communication from the outer world. There's a huge number of ideas we've got and agreements and everything. So our mental RAM is essentially just bursting at the seams with things we should do. And people are walking around just being busy, I think. I remember it. Yeah. I was speaking to someone last week and I said, "How are you?" And he's like, fucking busy, fucking busy.
People love being busy, I think. Yeah. I love telling people they're busy. But we have this sense of, anxiety from this lack of control, organisation, preparation, action. And then we're always thinking about what we're not doing. We need to be comfortable with what we're not doing because we need to have this external mind, this external system that we've got everything that we need to do. And we're confident that everything we need to do is in this system and in place. We're not going to forget about it, so we can just focus on the next action.
He says the consistent, unproductive preoccupation with all the things that we have to do is the single largest consumer of time and energy. So essentially, it's really got no effectiveness. It's just thinking over and over again about the things you need to do.
Yeah,
as well.
And that's it. And that what we're talking about here spans everything. It spans what you do in your job. It spans what you do at home. It spans the people you have to call, the everything. When we're talking about getting things done, we're talking about literally everything.
Yeah. So the whole crux of the book, I guess, is a 5-step process to managing workflow. But before we get into that, a really good thing I liked he talked about was the natural planning model. Mm-hmm. So he says he used to, he searched the whole world for the best planner in the world. Yep. And what he found out was our brain naturally does the planning process very well, but we don't always, adopt the process. Our brain does it naturally.
Yeah, that's it. And so what we need to do is there's this 5-step process, and we need to try and follow this process whenever we're planning anything.
Yeah, so I guess we'll try and do it through the example of going out for dinner in this case. But so the first thing you do, and this is for everything, and this is something you should follow, with different projects. But say you're going out for dinner, the first thing you do is you define the purpose and principle. So what is the reason this exists, or what is the purpose for this particular event?
Yeah, and that's pretty much start with why.
Yeah.
So start with why. Why are we doing this? What's our purpose? What are the principles? What are the boundaries for what we're doing? That's step one.
And then naturally, the next thing you might be thinking of is outcome visioning. So what's the vision of success? So it might be a fun evening, good food or wine. Maybe try and pick up and just, get the action and romance.
Yeah, that's it. And that's what he sort of says is that, we started with the why of the purpose and principles. Now we're we're envisioning the outcome. And then next is brainstorm. So we need to come up with a whole bunch of different ideas and different ways that we can achieve that vision.
Yeah, so naturally, this is the vision of what you want, and then there's a gap between what you got now and what you want. So that's what your brain does. Naturally, your brain starts spurting out all these things of how you can get it. So this is where David says just get everything down. It might be ridiculous, it might be in a random order, kind of like a storm in your brain.
Yeah, and the important thing here when we're brainstorming is to not judge the ideas, and we want to go for quantity over quality. So just go for everything that comes into our mind, get it down as a brainstorm, and then the next step we can organise.
Yeah, so what are the things you need to do? He says maybe circle, the 3 most important things, what are the priorities, and call people. So you've got everything that was brainstorm and you've organised it. And then number 5 is just identify the next actions. What's the one specific next action you can do to get it going?
Yeah, I think that's a super big, important point to take from this book is always be thinking about your next action. So whilst we've brainstormed and we've organised all the things we need to do, the next action is the most important. And it has to be, it can't be vague, it has to be defined. It can't be make a reservation. It has to be call Cafe Rouge and make a booking.
Yeah.
So super specific.
And it seems like that's where a lot of people fail, is identifying what's the next action. Everyone's very vague with, I guess, writing lists and tasks and all that kind of stuff.
And so that's the natural planning model. That's what we have to. That's what we should be doing through those 5 phases. And now the reactive planning model is what often happens, and we do it in the reverse order. And we just think action, action, action. What's the next action? We're always doing the next action. We get stuck in this cycle of action until we realise that it's not being productive. We're just doing things, and so we need to think, let's step back and let's try and organise this action. And then we think, okay, these are our next actions, but maybe let's brainstorm what we could be doing. Yeah. And then when they make the brainstorm, they think, okay, hang on, we've got this brainstorm, but what's our vision here? What's our purpose? So we've gone in the reverse order.
Yeah.
So we need to start with the purpose, then the vision, then the brainstorm, then the organisation, then the action.
Yeah, spot on. And with the brainstorming, you need it to be unfiltered before you get into the organising part.
Yeah, exactly.
So the big crux of the whole model, which we'll go through next, is the 5 steps of managing workflow. And this is essentially the system, the art of stress-free productivity, yeah?
Yes, this is the big papa. There's a really good graphic, like a workflow infographic. It's on page 37 of the book we've got, but Google getting things done diagram or something and you'll see it's worth having a look at. No, should we let it out? This is a second take. We did a first version and we stuffed it up. So we're going to try and we'll go for round 2. Hopefully this is better.
Yeah, we'll have a crack. Should we do we'll go horizontal and vertical after?
Yeah. So basically the 5 steps are capture, clarify, organise, reflect, and engage.
Yeah.
So first things first is capture. So we need to get everything out of our head and into a physical or digital system where everything's captured that's external to your mind.
Yeah, so our brain is always running on things, all certain things. It might be call Susan about the appointment on Wednesday, or it might be make love to my sweet wife on Tuesday. Get everything that's an open loop outside of your head and onto paper. So then you can go through the next steps of managing it. Yeah,
exactly. And some of the things he talks about in capturing is having physical systems where you can capture things. Like he is pretty strong on pen and paper. Like carry around a stack of index cards, and whenever you think of an idea that needs to be captured, don't lose that idea. Write it down on this piece of paper and then chuck it in your in tray. So he also talks a lot about in trays.
Yep. So that's a big thing. So throughout this whole process, he talks about having a very a workstation of some sort. So yeah, you got this one spot that's got a workstation that you trust to get everything done. And what you mentioned there was the in tray. So everything that's got this open loop in your brain, you put it into this one tray that I guess is there for processing, and it's not just going to sit there forever. At some stage you're going to go through it, you're going to get to it. So once it's out of your brain, you've got this trusted external system in your in tray to take care of it.
Yeah, he says if you don't have a dedicated workstation and in tray, get it now.
Yeah.
The other thing is so we talked about physical, there's also digital. So sometimes maybe you're at your computer and you like to use a online system or some app on your phone where you like to have a digital system rather than a physical system.
Yeah.
But there's of course sometimes you might be out for a walk and you're not at your computer, so you need the physical system as well to write things down. And so you need to pick whichever one you prefer and then be able to convert between one or the other.
Yeah. So he suggests this might take a full day to get everything out of your head. And
he said at first it's going to be a big in tray.
Yeah, business cards, receipts. It's just absolutely everything. It might be,
He calls it stuff. So anything that's stuff, all the crap that's out there, physically, like, as you say, business cards and receipts and shit lying around, as well as anything that's floating around in your head, just get it out and put it down in this in tray.
Yep. The next one is getting, I guess, in to empty, and that's clarifying.
Yeah. So we go through clarify. So once we've got a massive stack in our in tray, we need to clarify. First, what is it? And we need to work out, is it actionable? So we're clarifying, is this piece of paper that we've got here actionable?
So yeah, defining, and if there's no next action, so some things might just be a receipt or a reference material, something like that. So from there, you got to decide trash, incubate, or if it's a reference for future use on some kind of project.
Yeah. So be clear. If it's trash, throw it out. Don't put it to the side and say, I'm going to throw this out later. Throw it out. The next you said was incubation, and he calls it like the someday maybe list. So it might be like, I want to run a marathon, or I want to write a book. So these are long-term projects. They're actionable. They're not actionable straight away, but they're things that are going around in your head that you're thinking about. Get them down in your someday maybe list.
And I think this is where the 2-minute rule comes in, right?
Not yet. So after we've decided, so that was if it's not actionable. If it is actionable, we need to work out the next question, what is the next action? If it's a project, we put it on our projects list and we can plan it out. Or do we say, will it take less than 2 minutes, yes or no?
Yes, gotcha.
Yeah. Yep. And so if it takes less than 2 minutes, do it.
Yep.
And so that's another key part of this book is the 2-minute rule.
And I think that's something, if you take one thing away from the book, and what makes the whole book worth reading is probably that 2-minute rule. So it's just, if something's going to take less than 2 minutes, just do it there on the spot.
Yeah. It's
more effective, I guess, than processing and double handing and triple handling the same kind of task.
Yeah, that's it. If it pops up, you've got it in your in tray, this thing you see on your in tray, you're clarifying, is it actionable? Yes. Will it take less than 2 minutes? Yes. Just do it.
And the alternative is, I guess, it's going to be in your mental RAM otherwise. So just get it out of your mental RAM, get it done. And then if it's terms of action, you have three ways, right? Do it, delegate, or defer.
Yeah, so that's it. So if it's less than 2 minutes, we do it. If it's not less than 2 minutes, we delegate it and that we give it to someone else to do, or we defer it. And if we're going to defer it, we need to clearly define the next action and we need to put it on a calendar. We need to give that next action a specific date that we're going to get it done by.
Yeah, love it, man. Number 3, so the third step, now we've got everything out of the head, we've clarified what the hell these things are in our head, and now we're going to try and organise the results.
Yeah, nice. And that's, again, organising all these things that we've talked about, our trash, someday maybe, reference, next actions, calendar, waiting on other people, projects. That's where all this organising comes into play here.
Yep, so you put it, so some of those categories you said, so it might be something like someday maybe, so everything that's, say you're walking down the street one day and you think of a book idea to write and then it somehow ends up in your in tray. I guess that's with the someday maybe list. It gives you permission to imagine cool things without having to commit to them yet.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And it's something that then you're not going to be thinking about because you've got it on your someday maybe list. It's out of your mind and you know that it's going to be there and you can think about it later.
Yeah.
The other thing important in organising is projects. So essentially a project is just something with more than one step. So if it's if your thing is call your mum, then that's one step. But if it's a project, it's going to have multiple steps. So it might be make a garden. And so the steps would be go to the shop to buy dirt and buy plants and then go and plant the plants.
Yeah.
So that's multi-steps. So that's a project. So you need to put those actions in. And you would then say, I'm going to go to the shop on Saturday, and then on Sunday I'm going to plant the plants. So
out of everything that was in your in tray now, you've most likely got a lot of different projects that might be over 2 steps. And another group of categories he has here is action categories. So in every project, you might put things into categories like calls, at the computer, it might be errands, things to do at the office, things you can do anywhere, things that are just reading or surfing the internet and things like that. So it might mean you can start batching things, like say if it's calls, all your calls in all your projects are in the one area, so then you can batch all your calls and you can knock them out in one hit. Or it might be next time you're waiting for a meeting, it might be, I don't know, the read part. So everything that's in all your projects that requires reading on the internet, you might be able to knock them out then as well.
Yeah, nice. I like that. Another good thing I like from Organise is that in terms of your calendar, there's time-specific actions and day-specific actions. So a time-specific action would be a meeting that you're having a meeting at 10 a.m. or I'm going to the dentist at 2 p.m. That's a set time-specific action that has to be done at that time. The other type is a day-specific action where it might be finish writing this email. So it doesn't have to happen at any specific time. It just has to happen that day. So they're the clarify between those two on your calendar.
Yep, phenomenal. And a big one in all the projects he talks about it also is next action. So it just requires a little bit of extra elevated thinking, but it really defines what actually is the next thing to push the needle on this project.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's that extra bit of busyness and mental RAM, uncertainty, open loops in your brain.
And that's it. That project is, if you think, you need to start this project, the first thing you need to do then is work out your next action. And it's a bit of a barrier where you wouldn't want to do it. Whereas if it's already defined and you say this is what you have to do first, you can just get straight into it.
Yeah. Phenomenal. Good stuff. And then the next one, so step 4.
Yep.
Is the weekly review, which is reflecting and keeping it all fresh and functional.
Yeah, so he talks a lot about this weekly review, and that's like we've captured, clarified, and organised, and we've got all these things going on. We've got this system where everything's organised. We know what we need to be doing, and this review is almost tying together our big long-term vision of our organisation to our day-to-day actions.
Yeah. Also, by this stage during the week, your in tray is probably starting to fill up again, so you can get rid of your in tray and go through the whole process again, and essentially just get rid of all the loose ends and get your brain clear again, and just dump everything that's on your brain out into the in tray as well.
Yeah, that's it. So we can, as you say, always be throughout the week. You're always going to be capturing things, whether that's digitally. Or whether that's on your index cards and putting it in your in tray, and we need to constantly be clarifying this.
And again, make sure you know all next actions on your list. He says that throughout the whole book, he's got pretty sick quotes, just like printed on the side of the page.
Yeah, the quotes are phenomenal.
Yeah. He says the world itself is never overwhelmed or confused. Only we are, due to the way we engage with it.
Yep, nice.
Good stuff, isn't it?
Very good stuff. Mate, the 5th step, engage. And so he gives us a few different models for making decisions here. So one is he says the 4 criteria model for choosing actions in the moment. So this is when each day there's a way he breaks it up to decide what task to do next. So one is context. So that's where he talked about. You might have specific contexts where you can do tasks. So it might be in the office, or it might be at home, or it might be when I'm at my computer. They're the different types of context. So obviously that will dictate what you can and can't do at certain times of the day.
Yep. The next one is time available.
And so obviously if you got 10 minutes to do something and a task takes 30 minutes, and you can't do that. You have to pick something that only takes less than 10 minutes.
The next one I really like, man, energy available. So sometimes you might get, I guess, toward the end of the day, for a lot of people, you start to get a bit cooked, and you naturally just get unproductive, right? But this is where you have some of your tasks that it might have the category of casual reading or browsing websites or all that kind of stuff. You might start choosing those things in those categories when you're cooked and you're in your low energy states.
Yeah, and the 4th way that we would determine what to do in the moment is priority. So obviously if something's an 8 out of 10 and something's a 3 out of 10, then we go with the highest priority action first. Yeah. And the other way he talks about deciding is the 6-level model for reviewing your own work. And so this is the vertical aspect of it, yeah?
Yeah. So you got, I guess, 5 different horizons
plus the ground level.
Plus the ground level.
So you got ground level is your current actions. So that's a accumulated list of all the actions you need to take. And then Horizon 1 is your current projects. And so that's where we generate most of the actions that we're doing. So remember that projects is essentially just a string of actions.
So essentially it's getting up on a helicopter, and then I guess the higher you get, the more vision, and you can see, I guess, the reason you're kind of doing everything. But the second horizon is your areas of focus and accountabilities. So this might be things like in your job. It might be your job description, or your family, or some of your values, or your spirituality, or the things that are areas of your focus right now or important to you.
Nice. And a good quote for this bit here by John Roger. I don't know if that's
John,
I don't know who the hell that is, but yeah. Complete the projects you begin, fulfill the commitments you've made, live up to your promises. Then both your subconscious and conscious selves can have success, which leads to a feeling of fulfillment, worthiness, and oneness. So that's your focus and accountability right there.
The third horizon is goals. So think about what do you want to be experiencing 1 or 2 years from now?
Yeah, nice. And then the fourth horizon is vision, which is more your 3 to 5 year future.
Yep. And then 5 is Horizon 5. So now you're on the big helicopter looking down from the moon. You're away on the top. And that is purpose and principle. So why do you or your company actually exist?
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice.
So it's another way of just looking at your stuff.
Looking at stuff from the purpose and principles.
Mate, it's a good book. It's not just about getting things done just to be more productive, just to focus on getting more stuff done in your life or more stuff in your life. It's more about just being present, and he keeps talking about the mind like water, and you can just enjoy what you're doing now in the moment, knowing that, you got this external brain, external system that's in place and that you trust.
Yeah, I think the biggest part is that trust there. That it's sort of an all or nothing thing. If you've got an external system, you have to have absolutely everything in there, that then you can switch your brain off and say, I fully trust the system. Everything I need to possibly do is in this system. I don't need to think about it anymore. And if you've got 60% of your stuff in there, then it defeats the purpose, because the system's only got 60% of your stuff, so your brain is still going to be working at 100% to monitor everything. Yep. So you've got to fully commit, have this fully external system that's got everything in there.
An important point he says also in the book is like everything that gets in your calendar has to get done. So it's you got to have confidence when things move into your calendar, that action is going to get done. You're not just going to, I guess, just move the goalpost with your own commitments to yourself.
Yeah, nice. Mate, the book's broken down into 3 parts. We've just dived full on into part 1 because that's sort of the most, the big picture sort of thinking of all the stuff. Part 2, he goes into the specific tools of, get 3x3 post-it notes and get these index cards and get 3 trays and set them out like this way. And it gets super, super full on tactical. So if you've liked what you've heard, get the book and dive deep into getting all this stuff. But it's sort of a bit much for the potty, I reckon, right now.
100%. You essentially can just take what you want from it. I think for me, straight up, it's the 2-minute rule is absolutely huge. And categories. I think if you have everything in projects lists and you can break things up into categories, there might be things like financial errands, things to, you can knock it all out in one hit. Yeah. And it's essentially a good way of just getting your shit together.
Yeah, get your shit together. Mate, we're going to speak to David Allen, the productivity Yoda.
He's a Yoda. He's good.
Mate, this is Bible status for anyone looking to increase their efficiency and productivity. It's it's almost textbook level of like the actions, like everything is in here that you need. It's just whether you're willing to fully commit to it or not. Yeah,
phenomenal stuff. Buy the book and get more productive and become a Zen Buddhist.
Mate, David Allen's in Amsterdam right now. When we're going to speak to him,
he's smoking the Jaws.
Mate, let's sing it.
Jaws it.
It's art. Getting things done, yeah. Getting it done, stick it into the end tray. Capture all your stuff in the end tray, yeah. Clarify, get that in out of the end. Out of the end. Out of the end. Organize your stuff. Once it's out of the end, get it into the right buckets. Into the buckets, y'all. Into the buckets, y'all. Into the buckets.